Should I start? Okay, I've got a good one.
Hey, all
Hi
you
there,
cool
all you
cats
cool
and kittens.
cats. It's
It's
me,
Carol
Carol
at Big Cat
Baskin.
Rescue.
Today we're doing a tier list. I'm joking. That's actually that's very old school now, very outdated. But basically, Neil and I are gonna do a tier list because we are both very passionate about animation movies, and I feel like we are the top tier. Even though I completely forgot Brother Bear existed a week ago, I still feel like I'm a good contender for having known almost every good animation film. So we're gonna make a tier list and decide what we think is S tier and what we think is garbage. Neil, take it away.
First off, first off, there is no such thing as garbage animation. We are going to be looking at about 100 or so animation films. You can see them all here. And we're going to be listing them in order of what we think was good, from like S tier to, I think, is there like an F, or what's the...
F is the lowest, and then we also have haven't seen and don't remember, because I looked at some of these and I was like, I don't remember them. So
I'm going to be try and keep an open mind, because again, these are films for kids, so I'm not gonna like base it off whether I as an adult enjoy them. But I will try factor that, I think, into my like rating as well.
I was gonna say the same. For me, S tier would be like something I would watch again, something really fun. Also something iconic. If I think it was like an iconic film for its time, that would factor in. But I think also just enjoyability. But it's tricky because some of them I would rate enjoyability now versus as a kid. Like some movies I didn't like that much as a kid, but I loved as an adult, and I think that would be unfair. But I mean, it's subjective anyway.
So yeah, just call out what your
101 Dalmatians.
Okay, that's the same for me.
Okay, what would you rate this one?
So this is one that I actually haven't seen since I was a kid. I think I've seen it once and then never again. Because it's so iconic, and a lot of like good songs came from it, and I mean it's classic Disney, the era of Disney with like that old-fashioned like cartoons. I think for that purpose, I would rate it. It kind of falls into the category of just iconic, like a classic. I want to put it like middle.
I would also, I'm thinking like C tier as well. That's sort of middle. I mean, I don't know what exactly is middle, but I agree fully with what you're saying. I did actually watch this one recently, like a year ago, because it was on TV. And it was better than I remember. Like, it was actually really funny and enjoyable. But again, would I go and rewatch it all the time? Was it like my favorite? Not really, but solid. A Bug's Life?
Okay,
is that the
Bug's Life, yeah, that's
sorry,
for me as well.
This one for me is going D tier. I'm sorry. I did not like it as a kid. I don't want to watch it again. It was ugly. I didn't enjoy it. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, it's fair. If you didn't like the animation, was it just the animation or like the story, or like why?
I remember the story being boring as well. Like, I mean, again, it was a long time, but I just like it was about these guys from the circus helping this guy, and he had a weird invention, and I don't know. I didn't enjoy it. I was like, I don't know what's going on. This bug is like stupid. I don't know. I didn't enjoy it. I think I watched it once as a kid, which is saying a lot.
I think I watched it a couple times as a kid, but not since. You know what I did watch recently was one called Ants, and I think that's also here
Ants
somewhere.
is here as well. That one I liked more,
yeah.
but we'll get to that, yeah.
I'm rating Bug's Life a B. It was very special, like a part of my childhood. So because of that, like if I were to watch it now, it might fall flat, but like for what it gave me as a kid, I'm
Alice in Wonderland. I'm gonna rate this a C. Also, I think it's strong, positive, like Dalmatians. And I remember it like in terms of impact, like it really stuck with me because I thought it was actually really creepy. The whole concept of being stuck in this other world. Like I remember being really sad, that whole scene where she's crying and she's lost. Like it hit me deep, and just for that, like it hitting me deep, I'll give it a solid C.
For me, honestly, I don't think I'm sure I watched it, but I definitely wasn't paying attention enough. I would rate it like there aren't many famous songs from it or anything, so
that's true.
I don't know, like I feel like I'm being harsh because I know for a lot of people it's iconic, but I don't know. It's just I missed it as a kid. I think it's more that I just like missed out on it. I think I was a bit of a sexist as a kid because most of the movies that had like a girl as the main character, I didn't really pay attention to.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Aladdin.
This is going to be fairly high for me.
I'm going to give it a B tier.
I'm also thinking beer. Again, iconic songs. The fact that they made a live action so many years later is also kind of proof that it's very well regarded for a lot of people.
Yes.
It's a good story. I like the fact that it's very, it's a country most people like in the West aren't familiar with, so it's like exploring different like culture and stuff.
Yes, same thoughts and everything. One thing that I did look at when I factored this is a lot of things that relate to my enjoyability of a movie is the side characters. Like I think if you have a garbage villain or a garbage comedic character, it can really ruin the film. One example for me
Absolutely.
is Treasure Planet, which we'll talk about later.
Ooh,
But
yeah.
like having
That's
a garbage
yeah.
side character really ruins a film for me. So like in this film
That's
where
very,
all the
very
main
true.
characters are good, and then you have like the genie as the side comedic character, brilliant, absolutely
Yeah.
brilliant.
And I like the point you make about like the side characters and stuff, because definitely the villain, that plays a big part in it.
Yes, yes.
That's why for me Bugs Life was good, because the villain was very iconic. He was scary. I was scared of him as a kid.
For me, Ants was the Bugs
Definitely
Life
higher
for me.
than Bugs Life for you.
I thought Ants and Bugs Life were like the same sort of like I don't even know who made them, but anyway, Ants was the Bugs Life for me. Ants
Disney Pixar.
scarred me as a child, so it's iconic in
Really?
the sense that I really remember it, because like there was a whole war zone scene where these like
Yes.
acidic caterpillars
Ah.
killed everyone, and he finds his
Yes.
friend as like a corpse cut in half, and I was like,
Yeah.
what the hell? Like it
Yeesh.
was so scarring. Ironically, I'm also going to give it a D tier because I don't really want to watch it again. I didn't really
But-
enjoy it, but it really stuck with me. So
But you're gonna
like,
put it like in front of Bugs Life, though.
I
If you
would
can,
put it
I think.
above Bugs Life, but they're still both D tier for me. But Bugs Life
Okay,
is D
that's
minus,
fair.
Ants is D plus.
Do you remember also like a big like drowning scene where like all the water was gushing in? That also
Oh,
freaked me out.
This movie was freaky,
Honestly,
dude.
the thing that annoyed me the most was his voice. His voice was so
Yes.
frustrating for me.
I
I don't know
remember
why.
that.
I just could not listen to it. It reminded me a lot of. It was almost as bad as B movie. No, I
Yes,
like it. Ants,
yes.
Ants was worse in terms of voice acting. For me, I'm gonna put it C. I enjoyed it, but it was quite average. I don't think I'll watch it again fairly soon.
Next on our list is The Aristocrats.
Oof, Aristocats.
Aristocats. Sorry, Aristocats.
Yeah.
That's the pun.
That's the wordplay. Yes, I am definitely going to put this high. This was so
yeah.
iconic for me. Like the cartoon style was beautiful. The music was amazing. The butler, who was such a good villain but also comedic,
Yes.
he reminded me a lot of John
Yeah.
Cleese. Actually,
Yes,
he could
yes,
play
I
him. He could
remember.
play him in a live action. Don't make a live action of this, Disney. I'm definitely going to put it A. I think.
Oh, A,
That's-
nice. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to put it quite high.
For me, also really cool. I would love to see it again because I haven't seen it in such a long time. But for me, it's in the same league as 101 Dalmatians. It's gonna be C tier for me.
Yeah, next for you.
Atlantis, the lost city of Atlantis.
I know a lot of people love this, and I'm sure this is something I really want to watch again because I watched it as a kid and I loved it, but I can't remember it at all.
For me, this is gonna be B. It's on par with Aladdin for me. Also really, really good. I thought the humor was really funny, having watched snippets of it later in life as well. And there was a scene, I won't say too much, but in the beginning with the white-haired girl with her mom, and it like just freaked me out as a kid.
Yeah.
And it also just one of those things that just like stood out for me a lot. So in that way, like because of the impact it had on me, I will put that B tier. Our next one is Bambi.
It's just a kind of cute little movie. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
I
For me,
agree.
I'm gonna put a D.
I was
Just
also
for me,
thinking D.
for the impact it had on me.
No, I agree. Like the scene with the mom dying was obviously very scarring. I think every child will agree with that. But I agree with what you're saying. Other than that, it doesn't feel like a very impactful movie. Just kind of
Yeah.
a movie about
Literally-
cute little animals being cute.
Okay.
Beauty and the Beast.
No, for me, this is gonna be high. I'm gonna put this A.
This is tough. I'm not having a lot of A tier ones, but I would give this B again. My standards are going to be
Damn.
high, and when you see my actual S tiers, you're probably going to be like, "What the hell?" So let's tackle the B movie.
It's such a bizarre movie.
Yes,
But the fact that Patrick Warburton was in it already puts it like
yes, that's true.
a level or two higher than I would have otherwise rated it. I don't know. For me, I'm gonna put it C.
I'm putting it D. It's like one of those movies that's so bad, it's actually kind of funny. When I look
Yeah.
at scenes from it afterwards, I'm like, this is
'Cause-
hilarious. You can see why it became such a meme. It's not a
Yeah,
good movie, but
absolutely.
it's
It's-
still enjoyable, even
it's
though it's
very
bad.
memey.
Big Hero 6.
This is gonna go very high. You know, I'm gonna put it A. I'm gonna put it A.
This is gonna upset people, but I'm gonna give this a C tier.
Ah.
So this is my thought, right? For me, the movie itself was boring. Like, I love the main two characters. The story of the brothers was awesome. The villain was awesome. That whole vibe was, loved it. And also, Baymax, is that his name? Baymax?
Yeah.
Just so cool. Like, the dynamic of them was awesome. But for me, and this is where I go into my side of, if the side characters, the comedic relief or the villains are not good, it really bums the movie out for me. All of the friends in this movie for me was so forgettable. The girl with the blonde hair, the black guy, the guy in the costume. Like, they were all just, I was like, who are you people? Are they your friends or your brother's friends? I don't remember their names. I don't remember their get up. And there was a whole like training montage with them, but I'm like, who are you people? I don't care about you. I just want to see the main dude, his brother, the main dude being smart with all the, I want to see the world world of Neo Tokyo, whatever, and I like Baymax. But then it was just sucked up with all these side characters who I just thought were so forgettable in my mind, and it made me not like the movie.
You know what? That's fair. I do get what you're coming from. I also find like a lot of the story was kind of like didn't feel like it was going anywhere. But maybe, I don't know, if they had fewer of them, it might have been more effective.
Yes,
I'm not
too
sure. Again, I like that they were all smart, except the dude in the costume. But he was also good comic relief. He was funny. He made me laugh. So for that, I like him. But again, I think something else that I'm judging these movies off of is originality. And this was also a very original concept, which puts it very high for me. Brave, is that next to you?
Yes, Brave.
Yeah. I'll put it at B.
I was also going to do B. It's really cool. I like the characters, all of them. I like the Scottishness. I like the message of, strong, independent woman. It didn't feel too, shoved in your throat. It felt quite genuine. And I like the relationship with her and her mom. And the whole thing was about her and her mom. There was a cool, arc there. Brother Bear. I want to quickly say with Brother Bear, I know I forgot about its existence a while back. But I loved this movie as a kid. It was one of my favorite movies as a kid. I loved it. I loved the mooses. The meese. Yeah. I loved the story.
Canadian meese. How it changed your perspective from looking at things a certain way and kind of showed both sides of the story. For me, I would put this. I really want to put it A, but I don't think I'll watch it again. And I kind of want to put things in A that I would watch again. So I'm going to put this B, but high B. Definitely high B.
Yes, high B. I agree with that. Right. Chicken Little.
High C.
I don't think it was a amazing movie, but I do agree it was enjoyable and good twists I didn't see. I'd give it a D, sort of towards the high D.
Okay, Chicken Run. This is going way high. Ooh, would I put it S?
This is easy B tier for me. Would you put it S? Okay.
I almost would. I very much want to, but I'm going to put it A. Okay,
Coco. This
is
for
going to
me.
be high for both of us.
This would be A tier for me. This was
really
really good. So, my first A tier.
I'm also going to put it A. It was a good message. It was beautiful. Made me cry. Probably will again if I watch it again.
Coraline. Now, this is where I'm going to be controversial. I'm
actually going to put it...
What are you giving it?
No. I want to hear you finish your tangent before
I want to give it S tier. This is my
I'm also putting it S tier.
Really?
I absolutely love this movie.
I thought you were going to be like, oh my god.
Nah.
Typical,
You know what? It's probably because it was...
Burton.
Exactly. It's very Tim Burton style, and because of that, I love it. It was dark. It was haunting. It stuck with you. It was scary, but not it didn't keep you up at night. And the more you think about it, the worse it gets.
Definitely.
Showing buttons and eyes and stuff. And
I did not think you would connect with me on this, but that is fully what I was going to say.
And it's a whole meme now with her dad at the computer. I'm sure you've seen the memes going around. It was like a child horror.
Haunting. Haunting.
The music was beautiful. Oh, I love the music.
I listened to the soundtrack for years. It's all French. Most of it's French, I think. Corpse Bride. What are you rating this?
To the top. The humor is so on point as well.
It was. Why are you trying to get up there when everyone's dying to get down here?
That
was one of the best. I would give this an A tier. Not S for me, because not as enjoyable as Coraline, but still really good. I fully agree with all your points. How to Train Your Dragon 2, 3, and then under 3 is 1. I was originally thinking all kind of B tier for me, but I think I would put the first one as A tier, and I would put the other two as B tier. Because one thing I consistently liked about all of them is they all had a very serious element that I didn't expect. The first one, he actually lost his foot, which I know was meant to make him toothless, but I thought that was good to have actual consequence. Same with the second one, his dad died, and then the third one, he lost his dragon for, I don't know if I'm spoiling, I'm assuming you've seen all of them.
I've seen them. I'll shout when I haven't seen one so you don't spoil it.
And the third one being he had to actually lose his dragon for most of his life, and he only reconnected when he had his own children. It was there was real consequence, and I really loved that with such a cool world. I love the Vikings, I love the dragons, everyone's personality so cool. So A tier for the first one, the second and third B tier, just because the first one was more iconic.
I think I'm going to do the exact same. And something I definitely have to point out was how much I loved the music for this. The soundtrack was so brilliant. Good lord. I agree. The first one is more iconic, but a bit more of a story. I don't know. I found the story a bit more, maybe just because it was more lighthearted, and the fact that it was more about him connecting with this dragon, and it's in a way it's more predictable, whereas the other two felt a bit more original. But I don't know. I just enjoyed the story with the first one.
No, I fully agree. I fully agree.
More fun. Okay.
Now here's for me. Easy S class.
Easy S. I absolutely love this movie. This is one of my all-time favorite movies. I love this movie. I watched it so many times. I will watch it so many more times.
Okay,
let's move on.
the Emoji Movie.
Not seen, and I'm probably not going to.
I would say F.
It doesn't look
Because
entertaining.
I watched enough snippets to know that I wasn't going to watch the rest of it. So
yeah, Emperor's
the
New Groove
Emperor's New Groove.
straight to the top as well for me. Absolutely love this.
This is A tier for me, not S. Very high A, but A tier.
Kronk again. Anything with Patrick Warburton is so good.
Yes.
Yzma was a very good villain.
A great villain.
You could not hate her. She was just so fun. Fantastic Mr. Fox. Have you seen it?
I have, and I know I'm going to get some hate here because there is another Wes Anderson film that he does with stop motion that I like a bit more that's coming up. But I thought Fantastic Mr. Fox was super boring. And I know that's the joy of it. It's like really dry humor, and I get that. But I was a little bit bored. I would give it a solid C.
I agree with you. I was going to give it B, but you made me realize that, like, it was fairly boring in terms of what happened.
Finding Nemo. This is an A tier for me. Not good enough for S, but it was one of the best in my mind.
I'm going to have to agree with you. Yeah.
So the next one is going to be a bit controversial. I'm pretty sure. I would give Frozen S tier. I know you're probably thinking, like, what the hell? See, I wouldn't look at it and immediately think it's an S tier, but I remember when I first watched Frozen, I just fell in love with it. I know it became super mainstream for everyone, but I love the world, I love the animation. Every single song I can sing word for word. The story with the twist, like, it wasn't a huge twist, but, you know, the guy being evil, it actually being about sister love, which the more I watch snippets, you realize from the beginning, it's already, like, for the first time in forever, I want to meet someone, and then it's about her, like, meeting her sister properly, and, like, the sister love, and all the fun characters along it. Even Olaf, as a comic relief character, I thought he was really good. I really enjoyed him. I know it's controversial, but this is an S tier for me. I don't want to admit it, but it is an S tier for me.
Very hard to not, like, take into account, like, how society has just like abused it and taken it into, like, well, probably gonna put a D, to be fair.
Yeah, I know it's
no
dumb
offense
to rate
you.
S. No, that's fair. I know
it is also, like, I don't know, just more of a, like, feminine type film. Not to bring sex into this, but, like,
it is.
It's not something a guy would enjoy.
A Goofy movie.
Sorry, not seen. I might have seen it, but I don't remember.
A tier, dude. This movie is a banger, and the music is so good. I can't believe you haven't seen Goofy movie.
I've probably seen it, but just haven't watched it. Hercules.
Easy A for me. I watched it recently as well. It's just so enjoyable. Hades is one of the best villains. He's so funny. Next is easy S tier for me. I'm not a huge Ghibli fan, as you'll find out with my other films. Howl's Moving Castle. With Ghibli films, there's only two that I absolutely love, and the rest I just don't like that much or haven't seen. So I'm a weird Ghibli fan where, like, some I'm like a diehard fan, some I'm like, I could not care less. This just looks like garbage to me. Ice Age. I didn't do all of them, just the first one, because I feel like that sort of sets the premise for Ice Age. You don't need to have all the sequels.
I love the first one. I'll put it B. I'll also put this one B.
I'm also thinking B. A bit heavy with all the sequels, but the three main characters are just awesome.
Yeah, it's a franchise that really got milked. But,
definitely. But it was good.
I enjoyed it, and
Inside Out.
I haven't seen, sorry. I've seen bits of it.
This is an A tier for me. Very, very good. Very good. Especially about, like, a girl going through troubles. It's not actually even a girl specifically. It could just be any child. I think it's just a child, actually. It doesn't even need to be a girl. Just going through, like, moving, going through a difficult time in her life, going from being a child to actually growing up, and, like, the whole mental state of it. And I think that specifically just, it's very universal. Into the Spider-Verse. S tier, baby.
I have it on my computer. I haven't seen it.
No, Neil, don't do me like this.
I will.
This is in my top 5 favorite animation movies of all time, and I know everybody says that, but it's
everyone loves it, so I'm sure and I love Spider-Man stuff anyway, so I'm sure I'll love it. So Iron Giant. I absolutely loved this movie as a kid. I'll probably put it quite high. I'm gonna put it A.
I never saw it as a kid. I saw it for the first time like 2 years ago, and it was good. It was solid. I liked it, but I don't know, probably because it doesn't have the same charm. Like, some of these films you kind of have to watch when they first come out to really get the charm of them. I'm going to give it a C. I wouldn't watch it again, but I did enjoy it. I can see why people really loved it, and I'm sure if I grew up with it, I'd feel differently, but I never grew up with it. It doesn't have that meaning for me. Isle of Dogs.
Japanese one.
Yes.
I never saw this one.
It's also Wes Anderson. So for me... This is the same level as Fantastic Mr. Fox. In my opinion, I think this one was done a lot better. I thought it was a lot less boring. Like, Fantastic Mr. Fox was a bit dragged on for me. Isle of Dogs, I watched. Same exact stop motion style, very Wes Anderson, very dry. But I enjoyed this one a lot more. I thought it was a lot more interesting, the characters more interesting, the world interesting, because it's like a whole island where people have just dumped all these dogs. Like, it's just so weird. Very cool. Definitely you should watch it. I will give this a B tier.
James and the Giant Peach. I'm gonna put it like B.
I'm gonna give it a high C. As a kid, I loved it. I also remember it struck me because it was very creepy. That cloud storming rhino.
It was very creepy.
Was so scary. That gave me nightmares.
That was terrifying. I repressed it. Why did you have to remind me?
I actually went, like, go now and watch, like, on YouTube. I watched a clip of that rhino because I wanted to see if it was as scary as I remembered. And
it was.
It's still pretty scary. Like, you could tell it's old, but it's still pretty scary, dude. I was like, what the hell for a kids movie? The old school Jungle Book, the old animated
old school Jungle Book,
not this new nonsense. I don't know. Hey, this is tough because this one, and there was a sequel that I also enjoyed, and I really did like them. I don't think I'd watch them again though. They were really good, solid. I really enjoyed them. I watched them a lot. I think this is gonna be a very high C. Maybe like a low B for me.
As a kid, like, I wasn't that interested in it.
Yeah, it's also a bit forgettable.
I prefer Tarzan. For me, I cared more about Tarzan.
Yes,
and this very much felt like just. Damn, that would have been S tier for sure.
I wouldn't have put that S tier, but I fully agree with what you're saying. It was the same setting, but done better, in my opinion. Then we have Klaus. I don't know if you've seen this one.
I have not.
That's going on the list.
I've seen it.
Easy A tier.
Really?
A tier.
Curious to try it. I still think my favorite rendition of Santa Claus is the one from Rise of the Guardians, which I think I saw here actually. We'll get
yes,
to that
it is on that list. That's also a fun one.
That's my favorite version of Santa Claus.
Kubo and the Two Strings. I don't know if you've seen this one. It's the same people who made Coraline, which is not Tim Burton.
It does look like Coraline.
Laika Studios. That's what they're called.
Laika. Okay.
Yeah. They made Coraline. They've made Kubo and the Two Strings.
I have to put it by I haven't seen, but I'm pretty sure I have seen advertising for it. It does look cool. I do want to try.
From a stop motion perspective, gorgeous, stunning, amazing, as you'd expect. From a storytelling point of view, I wasn't completely absorbed. I mean, it was kind of funny, kind of cool, but I wasn't in love with the story, but really beautiful. I'd give it a C, but like a high C. Yeah. So next is Kung Fu Panda. You can rate this if you want as all three. I've only put the first one.
Okay. I love everything about it. I really enjoyed it. It wasn't.
Me too.
It wasn't that memorable. Like, I don't think about it every day. But I'm gonna put it B because I didn't enjoy it.
I was gonna say B as well. I would actually like to watch it again.
I would probably
really
watch it again. Are we about to look at Lilo and Stitch?
Yes.
Well, I'm gonna just not waste anyone's time and don't remember because that is actually S. That is absolutely one of my favorite movies of all time.
Dude, yes. Yes, I was gonna say this is one of my favorite childhood movies. The music, I love this movie.
Viewers at home, if you guys haven't seen a little animation of, I think it was called Lilo and Stitch Recap, by someone called Cass Van Pol, something like that. YouTube it, watch it. It is hilarious. It will remind you exactly why this movie is absolutely amazing. It is so good. Everything about this movie was amazing. Characters were iconic. They did make a sequel, which I, in all honesty, barely remember. But this movie itself, as a standalone, was just so good. Again, you were talking about like sisterly love and stuff, and that is something that really came through in this movie for me. More so than
Nani is the best.
Nani is amazing. Nani. When you realize how young she is and how she's taking care of like her baby sister all alone, and like you can like relate to that as an adult as well, which is why I definitely want to watch this movie like now.
Yes, and David, dude. David puts the Disney princess to shame.
That man,
he is such a lad.
I love that man. He is the definition of simp, but in every good way there possibly is. I absolutely love David. He is just the coolest guy.
Agreed.
He
absolutely.
You know, he doesn't want. He's just a cool, just chill surfer dude. You know, he's got a thing for Nani, but he's got all these aliens around him, and he's just like, okay, how can I help? You know.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely love him. I absolutely love every single character in this movie. Definitely
I kept thinking we were gonna have different views, but so far S tiers have been pretty similar.
Are you also
pretty surprised? Oh, absolutely. The Little Mermaid.
Little Mermaid.
The Little Mermaid. I love this movie as a kid. I don't think I'd watch it again, but I loved it as a kid. The whole like bringing mermaids to the forefront. Like, dude, this was my thing as a kid. I love the ocean. I love mermaids. I'm gonna put this as an Oof, this is hard. I'm gonna say between A or B because I wouldn't watch it again. But I loved this movie as a kid. I'm gonna say B, but like flippin' high B. Meet the Robinsons.
All right.
I am gonna give this an A. This was a great movie for me.
Girl, this is no joke. Probably my favorite movie of all time.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but like this movie for me just spoke to me on so many levels. In terms of identifying with the character, in terms of the amazing music that I listen to quite literally to this day very frequently. Such a good like villain, good plot twist, good like it was original. It was I just loved it. I loved everything about this movie.
I agree. And Goob is one of my favorite villains. I wrote a speech about him in grade 8.
Goob is the villain.
I just love him.
That meme is one of my favorites of all time. That meme where it's like, hey Goob, cool binder. Hey Goob, do you want to come over to my house today? It's like they all hated me. I'm like, yes.
I love Goob.
They took two concepts, like the whole idea of, you can keep moving forward, like with your life, and like, just, keep, no matter what happens, just like, going and like walk through it and like, come out on top, which is what happened with Lewis. Or you can be like Goob, where like you kind of like focus on like the bad and you let it destroy you. But that character that arose from it is still such a likable character, and I think that's so difficult to do, to make it seem like, okay, he's clearly the bad one in every regard, not just as the villain, but he's also one of the most likable characters. So absolutely, it is up there for me.
Megamind. I'm also gonna give this an A. I love this. Is it S for you? Okay.
I love this movie, dude.
It's the same as me. In many ways, it's the same as Meet the Robinsons. It's got that like kind of adultish vibe. It feels like it's more for our age than it is for kids. Same with Meet the Robinsons.
Absolutely.
It's got this like fun animation, these fun villains, these fun characters. This is on par with Meet the Robinsons for me. Like I want to give them S tier, but they just under S tier for me.
And this is another one that I can easily throw on. It's so good. The story is so original. It's such a good take. It's such a good message. It's the characters
Kick-ass
are
music.
Amazing. The characters are everything.
Yes.
I love this movie.
Yes.
It is, for me, it is a flawless movie. I can't fault it. And honestly, anything with Will Ferrell, I will love as well. I love that.
No, fair enough. Ooh. Monsters Inc. Oof, this is a tough one.
This is gonna be
I'm gonna say between A or B, but I'm not sure because I don't know if I'd watch it again, but I do think it was definitely one of the better ones that Pixar ever made.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved it. Again, had like a lot of toys from the franchise. It was so good. It also became a huge meme. I'm gonna put it as B, I think.
I'm also gonna do B.
I will watch it again.
I was thinking B. Then we have Monsters University. So what were your thoughts on that?
I have not seen it, actually.
I would actually put this kind of on par with the first one, maybe a little bit less. I would still give it a B tier, where Monsters Inc. is B+, Monsters University is B-, but very close. Like, it was still very cool. Like, I really liked what they did with it. I thought it was going to be, just another sequel to squeeze money.
Yeah.
But for me, it gives me the same vibe as Toy Story 3, where Toy Story 3 also took that, like, milking nostalgic stuff, but did it really, really well.
Okay, Monsters and Aliens versus Aliens.
This is a weird one for me because this is one of those movies that was so bad. I thought it was so garbage, but that I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was really funny because it was so bad.
Yeah.
So my friends and I made jokes about this movie for like years, even though it was garbage. I don't know how to describe this one. For me, it was so bad, it was kind of good. But I think I'm going to give this a D tier. It's just dumb humor.
Yeah,
it's great. It's good dumb humor.
I did enjoy it, but I'm going to still put a D for me. Mulan.
Ooh, S tier for me. I love probably one of my favorite old school Disney films, I must say. I love the songs. I can sing every song from this movie. The side characters, that little like short guy who always wants to box people, Mushu's the dragon, the prince dude who's not a prince, the war general, whatever. Pretty cool. The emperor was cool. The villain was cool. Oh, the songs were banger. The humor was amazing. I cannot fault this movie. I just absolutely fell in love with this movie.
Yeah, Mulan was like probably the most like headstrong princess of all.
And for me, this is my favorite time of Disney movies. For me, this was peak Disney, was like Mulan, Hercules, The Little Mermaid. Like, what's it, the 80s and 90s, that sort of vibe? Those were my favorite Disney movies, which we'll get more into. But I love, this is my favorite style, this 2D style. It was more polished than like 101 Dalmatians, and it was before 3D became too big. Like, this is peak Disney in my opinion. Onward.
Sorry,
it's a new film. Have you seen it?
I haven't actually. I know it's got like what's his name?
I knew you haven't.
Pratt and
Yeah,
Tom
and
Holland.
Tom Holland. It is a complete love letter to Dungeons and Dragons. There are so
really?
many references to the game and like the personality. It's basically a live action, well, not live action, but it's a live version of. It's a Dungeons and Dragons quest. That's the whole vibe of the movie. And also,
I wasn't sure
like,
what it was about. Like even
how Lilo and Stitch and Frozen did the sisterly thing, this one is a brotherly thing. So it's a really strong brotherly connection. And I don't want to spoil too much, but it's got a solid brotherly connection story, and it's such an amazing love letter to Dungeons and Dragons, like lore, and there's so many nerdy jokes thrown in there that if you love Dungeons and Dragons, you will love this movie. I don't know a lot about it. I only just started playing Dungeons and Dragons, so I can't say I get all the references, but I would watch this again. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I will give it a B tier. Pinocchio, terrifying. Oh my word.
Terrifying. Other than him becoming a donkey. Oh, there was a giant whale.
And the thing where they got punished, they punished all those little boys for smoking and drinking. Like, they put them in this place, they encouraged them to smoke and drink, and then they turned into donkeys, and they just got left there to die. I was like, what the hell?
You know,
this
it's dark
movie
when you look
scarred
back,
me as a kid.
It's so dark. As a kid, really.
I mean, I watched it again recently. That's how I remember those things.
I do remember.
No. I did not like this movie as a kid. It scared me too much.
Okay. Princess and the Frog, I have seen. Honestly, kind of forgettable. I didn't really care. It felt like it didn't feel like a very original idea. It's kind of like, I mean, it was original in the sense of like, oh, normally you kiss the frog and it turns into a prince, but in this case, she turns into the frog. Plot twist, you know, like, for me, it's like a D. I don't know. I didn't really care.
It's actually an A for me because I really loved it. I love the whole setting of New Orleans, and it's all this jazz.
True.
I thought that was such a cool setting.
And it's one that they haven't really played on before, which is very nice.
That's true. I love that she's like this hard-working girl. She's not like the princess who's trying to marry rich. So her whole thing is working hard, and the guy's whole thing is like having fun, and they bring out the best in each other. Some of the side characters were a bit forgettable, but I loved the villain, actually.
Really?
Not really a hectic villain for me. Maybe not one of the best ones, but very cool. This whole like shadow man with his voodoo and his...
Yeah.
I love the songs. I can sing almost every song from this movie. I loved the music.
You could play me any
That's
song.
probably the only reason.
From there.
That's probably the only reason it gets such a high tier for me. Like, in terms of the story, I agree. Kind of, like, it was fine. It was good. It was solid. But the music for me is what pushes this to A tier.
This Princess
Mononoke.
I know it's another big one, but I have not actually seen it.
I'm gonna get so many haters. This is a D tier for me.
Ooh.
It's apparently, people say it's
like
one of the best ones. People love this movie. I did not like it. I watched it for the first time a year ago. I was bored. I'm so sorry, Princess Mononoke fans. They will come after me.
Is this also Ghibli?
I was bored. It's Ghibli as well. It's like one of the top tier Ghibli.
They are not going to sponsor your channel.
I know. I'm sorry. I found it boring. I got the whole vibe was about caring for the environment.
Oh, that's nice.
I got the message. It's a cool message. I just didn't like the film. I didn't like the characters. Everyone was boring. Everyone was, I don't know, unrelatable for me. Maybe if I'd watched it as a kid, I would have changed my mind, but...
That's fair.
I just didn't like it.
Okay. Oh, no, this is Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Ralph Breaks the Internet. Yeah. I'm sorry, F tier. Straight up. Wreck-It Ralph for me is S tier. I'm sorry. I loved Wreck-It Ralph. I loved the nod to the old retro games. I loved Rolf. I loved the Vanellope. I loved the Candy Kingdom. I loved the races. I loved the story and the villain. And I loved Wreck-It Ralph. It's easy S tier for me.
I really enjoyed it.
Which is why I hated Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet. It took everything good about it and it made it trash and stupid. And I just absolutely, I was cringing the entire time, and I still watched it to the end, and I hated it. So S tier first one, F tier second one, straight up.
Okay.
I just love it, dude. Even the humor, like, of the girl, like the girl who's in charge of the Call of Duty video game or whatever that was, and she's so hardcore, and then her scarring backstory is a wedding, and she pulls a gun out her dress. Like, the humor was just great. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie from beginning to end. I just fell in love with it. I cried at the end when he was like, I'm not a good guy and that's okay. And he was falling to his death. I cried. I can't tell you why. I just love this movie. I just love it to bits. I can't fault it. Ratatouille. Also S tier for me.
Really?
What are your thoughts? Yeah, I would watch Ratatouille any day. I'll watch it again. So good.
I'll put him on also B. I think I put it on par. I feel like I'm completely breaking your heart with some of these Bs.
No. We've agreed on a lot of things.
The second half is completely like swapped around, I think.
That's true. That's true. Like I said, there were a few here that I'm expecting I would rate high that I don't think you would.
Rise of the Guardians.
B tier for me. Very good. I would love to watch it again. I love Jack Frost. I loved all the elements and how they did them. The villain was also really cool.
Absolutely.
I haven't actually watched it again since. I didn't love it so much that I just kept watching it or getting involved with it. But I would watch it again now. I think I'd have a good time. Solid B.
Yeah.
What about you?
This is another one that I watched when I was rewatching DreamWorks movies, because I think it is DreamWorks. As you said, like I loved how they portrayed all the characters. Jack Frost, I loved Santa, I loved like Sandman, the Tooth Fairy, the Easter Bunny. They were all really like a nice twist on them. I really enjoyed it. And as you said, the villain was so good. The villain made me think a lot of Tom Hiddleston. I don't know if it was.
Yes.
It wasn't him, was it? It wasn't his voice.
It could be. It could be.
No.
I don't know.
It was Jude Law. I just remembered it was Jude Law.
Oh. I would not have guessed that.
And he was really cool. I loved.
It was very cool.
I loved the movie. I'm putting mine A. I enjoyed it. Robin Hood. Ooh.
I might get a few haters for this. I loved this movie as a kid, but I watched it a bit later and I was like, this is the most boring film I've ever seen. I'm giving it an E. I'm sorry.
To be fair, it was so old, so it was like a completely different style as well. So you do have to take that into consideration, because like, I mean, we're so like, we're more used to like much more action and like, you know, something always going on. Whereas back then, all we needed was a decent story. It was fun. It was like good colors. It was like awesome. True. And that was enough for us. And for me, I'm going to think of it that way and rate it accordingly. Yes. For me, I really enjoyed it. The songs were iconic. I'm going to put it A.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Have not seen it. Sorry.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
I know it's a classic like old like Disney thing,
yes.
but I haven't seen it.
It's hectic for a kid's movie, very much so. As a kid, I did not enjoy it. Too many adult jokes. I remember they creeped me out. But I'm going to put this as a solid C, just because going back in my adulthood and watching snippets and looking at how they did it, so amazing. Like, for its time, it was so good. And even now, it looks pretty good still. I think just in terms of iconicness alone, and might probably watch it again, I'll give it a solid C. But as a kid, I hated it. I didn't get it. I was creeped out by the adult jokes.
You know what I'm realizing as we're going through this is that I'm realizing that I'm basing these off mainly how I reacted as a kid. You're basing more like how did they hold up as an adult now that I've watched them again. And
that's
I think
true.
neither is wrong or right, but it's quite interesting that that's how we're kind of like rating it.
Yes. Okay, the next are the 3 Shrek movies.
Do you want to do these together or do you want to like...
I think so.
Okay.
Okay, so my initial thoughts, if I just go for it, I would say normal Shrek, I'd give a C tier. Shrek 2, I would give a B tier. And Shrek 3, I would give an F tier. Those are my thoughts straight off the bat.
Okay.
The third one was incredibly boring. That's where they lost it for me. Even including children, including extra characters. That's when it lost the plot for me.
Yeah,
everything after the second one was the downhill.
I don't think
and the
anyone
second
wanted to see
one was a
Ogre
lot
Babies.
better than the first one.
Yeah.
What's that?
No, the second one absolutely was. As a movie, I think was better. But like for me, Shrek, the first one, like as a kid, I'm also remembering what it meant to me. Like the music. Well, the music in all of them, to be fair, is really good. Story was just iconic. Very short story. Very memorable. There's a reason it became so big. I don't know. For me, I'm putting...
You know what? You're right.
I'm putting the first
Shrek
as A.
They have to be the same tier. They have to be the same tier for me. They're both B for me, actually.
Okay.
You're right.
I'm going to put the first and the second one as A because I enjoyed both very much in very different ways. But I feel like they belong in the same... Whereas the third, I enjoyed it and I watched it again and it's not bad.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it D though. Okay. Sinbad.
Sinbad. Ooh, is this S or A tier for me? I think this is S tier for me.
Whoa.
I love this movie, dude.
Damn.
If you were not given an S tier, I think you need to rewatch it because for me, it's exactly the same as El Dorado in terms of humor. Actually, El Dorado's better, but that's still like that exact art style, the adult humor.
Yeah, as a kid, I was not into it at all, but I watched a bit of it a bit later, and I was enjoying it, and I think I'll really enjoy it. I think it looks like I have a feeling I'll enjoy it as much as I enjoyed Treasure Planet. It has the same kind of vibe for me.
Yes.
For that reason, awesome. I'm going to put it as Don't Remember because I don't remember enough to rate it, but I'm sure
That's fair.
I will.
I'm writing it down.
I think I'll really enjoy it.
I'm writing it down.
Is this
Sleeping Beauty.
Is it Sleeping Beauty? I'm sorry, I'm going to put it as Don't Remember because I
also kind of don't remember. I'm going to give it a E. Don't really remember it. I think it was fine, but in terms of the Disney princess movies that I was crazy about as a kid, very subpar.
By those standards, by those days standards, I think it would be very good. But I think
even
I'll
as
just
a
put
kid,
it as
I
don't
don't think
remember
I
for
watched
now.
it that many times. I don't think I watched it a lot as a kid. I don't think I was super into it.
Sorry, what?
I wanted to be a mermaid as a kid. I don't like this Sleeping Beauty nonsense.
Yeah,
this
like
was kind of boring for me.
She was kind of useless. What did she do?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Did she even
Honestly,
talk? I don't remember her even talking.
I have the exact same answers that I've just said in for this movie as I have for Snow White, so I'm gonna put it.
Yes, I was gonna say.
Because also
same
like
level.
not much happened. She fell
exactly
asleep, needed to be woken up. Men took care of her.
Absolutely,
that is...
absolutely. Spirited Away. This is S tier for me.
Yeah.
This is possibly my favorite animation film of all time. Is Spirited Away.
Okay.
Of all time.
Ghibli, sponsor. She's back.
Except for the Mononoke thing.
Ignore
Sorry
that.
about that. I mean, I think this is one of those films that because I watched it when I was a kid, I had no exposure to Japanese culture at the time, no exposure to Ghibli films. It was my first Ghibli film.
Yeah, same.
It was just something randomly I picked out at the DVD store or the VHS store when we went, and I just was completely fascinated by it. Like, I was so sucked in. I was like, this is so weird. Like, this is the movie that got me into anime. This is the movie that got me into Japanese culture. Like,
yes.
I cannot express how iconic this movie was for me.
Okay.
It was my first exposure, and it will always hold a place in my heart as like the number one.
Okay, Spirit.
I would say this was good in the way that movies like Bambi failed. Like, Bambi was a great animal movie. This was also a great animal movie, but it told an entire story and had a lesson. It was all about colonialism, and like there was so much it told with so little.
Yeah.
With characters that couldn't talk, and I think that
talk, yeah.
Yeah, it's so. I think that's one of the best things about this film.
I'm gonna put it as A.
This is a high B for me.
Tangled. What do you feel about Tangled?
This is an S tier for me. This and Frozen are the same movie to me.
Yeah,
like,
I get that vibe.
2010s. It's the exact same, like, humor, art style, cool kind of fun story. I'm absolutely in love with this movie.
I definitely enjoyed it more than Frozen. I mean, it didn't speak to me individually, but I did enjoy it. It made me laugh. I'm gonna put it C. Tangled
is better for me than Frozen was.
Oh, okay.
Frozen is probably my lowest S tier. It's in there more because I've listened to the music enough, and at the time when I watched it, I loved it so much that I can't not put it in S tier. I enjoyed it that much, but it's sort of the bottom, whereas Tangled for me is more in the higher level of my S tier. So Tangled, I think, was just better done overall. The Good Dinosaur. I might make enemies, but E tier. I hated this movie.
I haven't seen it. It was
so boring.
I don't think I'll enjoy it. It kind of looks like. It doesn't look like it's particularly like an original idea. It looks more like, ooh, kids like dinosaurs. Let's make a movie about that.
Yes.
But again, I can't judge it because I have not seen it, but I'm going to put it there. Shall we rate them together?
1 and 2. Yes.
Honestly, for me, I'm going to put them on the same level because I enjoyed both, I feel, equally in different ways.
I agree.
But I really enjoyed Incredibles was a big one for me as a kid. A lot of toys, a lot of video games. Absolutely loved it. Watched it many times.
And the music, dude.
Music was really good. I loved the idea behind it. This whole notion of like superheroes. Like it's a really original idea. Very well made. Iconic characters. Frozone was freaking hilarious. He was awesome.
Yes.
So quotable. So memey.
I agree.
Whereas with the second one, it was very different. It was. I'm glad they made the sequel. I was nervous, but I'm glad they did.
Yes, and they did it justice.
They did it from the perspective of, okay, now the mom's getting a turn to showcase her stuff, which was cool, because in the first movie, she wasn't, like, that amazing. You can stretch, cool. Mr. Fantastic can stretch, but, like, what can he do? Whereas with her, they did a great job of making her power awesome. And making him the stay-at-home dad and, like, showing him struggle with that. So I'm going to put them both S. I really love them.
Oh, really? The first one is S, but as you said, a low S. And the second one will be a very high A. I still enjoyed the first one more. I was a bit annoyed that the second one did the exact same plot, but with the mom. But I do really enjoy how they did it.
It was not the same plot. I thought they did a good job of making it a very different plot, actually. They made the notion of different superheroes, different kind of idea, the very different villain, which I quite enjoyed. Very different. Yeah, I don't know. I found it very different, personally.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Girl, The Lion King.
The Lion King.
Here we go. This is where people will hate us or love us.
This is going to be controversial. Yep, this is where people are going to hate me.
Are you going to rate it low?
What are you? You go first. I don't want to be hated yet.
Okay. Again, for me, it didn't stand out too much for me, so I'm going to put it like B, but like such a classic, such a big story. It was awesome that they made it, like, you know, as a South African kid, it was kind of nice to have a movie in Africa, you know. I'll watch it again for sure, but like I won't easily just throw it on because it's quite a deep story as well. So like that makes
Yes,
sense.
yes,
Whereas
that's true. It's
whereas
not very,
Madagascar,
like,
nothing deep happens, so it's like I can just throw that on in
yeah.
the background. This is like
No, that's true.
damn.
That's literally what I was
Like
gonna say.
with
Like, for
Mufasa
me,
dying, that's like was way more
yes,
significant than Bambi's mom dying, for instance. Like that would make me cry today, probably. So,
everything you said, I absolutely agree with. This for me is a C tier, solid, but I would not watch it again. I liked it as a kid, but everything you said, just so true. Just like it just was there for me. It was great. I can appreciate why people like this movie so much, but it wasn't one of my favorite Disney movies. I was very average about it. It's cool. That's about it.
Ooh, now we
Toy
have the
Story.
3 Toy Stories. I'm sure you're gonna rate these very differently.
Okay, off the bat, the first one I'd give a C tier. I'll explain why just now. And then 2 and 3 are both A tier for me.
Oh wow.
What are your thoughts?
It's weird when you rate the first movie lower, because for me, normally the first one's always higher.
Okay. As a kid, I did like Toy Story. I remember significantly liking Toy Story 2 more as a kid. And then I went back and I actually watched Toy Story a little bit later, like in the past 5 or so years, to see like what it was about. And I was like, this movie's, like, not just ugly. Woody is a horrible character in the first movie. He's such an asshole. And he's so unlikable. But in Toy Story 2 and 3, I love Woody. Would die for Woody. But in the first movie, he's garbage, and I hate him.
It's almost like they push the whole jealousy factor a bit too much.
Yes, absolutely.
To the point where it's like it becomes more like he's just unlikable. Put Toy Story 2 as... I'm going to put that as C. I'm going to put Toy Story 3 as C as well. And I'm going to put Toy Story as D. I enjoyed them, and I know it doesn't seem like it, but I'm also running out of space on the other tiers. Okay.
Treasure Planet.
Ooh.
I have a feeling you'll rate this one high.
Almost S. Very, very high A.
This one is tough for me because I haven't watched it recently. I might give it a higher rating if I watch it recently. As a kid, I agree, didn't care for it too much. Then I watched it a little bit later, and I also, in hindsight, I looked up stuff about it. Like, when you know about Treasure Planet, you know it was kind of a flop. It was definitely a passion project for the people who made it. It's so unique. It's such a unique world. I love the whole thing of him and his mom, and then the dad relationship he forms with Captain Silver, whatever his name is. The cat lady is cool. The dog scientist, whatever, was cool.
Yeah.
I hated Bob, whatever his name was, Ben, the stupid robot. I hated him. He low-key ruined some of the film for me. I thought he was so unfunny and just annoying and loud. He's just... We always alerted them, like he always alerted them to the enemy's location because he would just blurt out stuff because his circuitry was broken. I don't know. I hated him. And in terms of the story itself, I thought it was a bit lackluster. Like, it kind of... Like, all I remember was they were pirates and they were trying to find this treasure planet, and I think they found it, but I don't know what happened after that. I think the planet got blown up and they never got anything, and that was the end.
Kinda, yeah. But watch it again. Watch it again.
I will watch it again.
You'll appreciate it. I really enjoyed it.
In terms of the passion behind it, the characters, and what it was going for, I loved. In terms of actually watching it, the actual story, how it was done, I would give this a C tier, but like a high C tier. If I watched it again, I might give it a B tier. I'd have to judge it again. Up. What are your thoughts?
High up for me, quite literally. The story itself is kind of like there are bits where not much actually happens, which is what fails
that's what I was
in a way.
Say.
But a lot of the message, the message, the relationships, the values, like so much was very good about it. I didn't really care much about the villain. I think I'm actually going to put it A.
I fully agree. And everyone knows those first 15 minutes, whatever, the song with him and Ellie. That, to this day, I will bawl my eyes out. I cannot watch it without crying. It is so good.
Yeah.
But I agree, the things that let it down for me, as you said, I think the story was a bit dull in parts, and the villain I couldn't care for. The villain is dogs with the squeaky voice, the villain with the blimp. The story was a bit meh. But the main guy himself, his relationship with Ellie, and then moving on with this little kid, even Doug, the dog, was fun. Like, it was fun, but I think they could have done better with the story, especially from such an impactful beginning. I would have liked something a bit more with the story. Yeah. But it was fine. It was fine. B tier.
I think
it was fine.
WALL-E.
This is an S tier for me.
Oh,
God,
really?
I loved this movie. The whole vibe, I was fascinated the whole time. I didn't know where it was going. I was like, oh, Earth's a dump now? Okay, cool. And then going onto the ship and seeing what happened to humanity as they move forward, and then seeing their journey back. And the whole time I was just so invested with this really likable set of characters.
Very,
Eve
very
and
true.
WALL-E. It was just so it's such a feel-good movie for me. That whole scene where he's playing in space with Eve, that music that plays maze when he's got the fire hydrant. It's just so fun, and all the old school music. When he watches TV, he watches all those like 50s shows with the old 50s music. It's so beautiful. Like, it gives me the same feel good as playing one of the Fallout games, that like old 50s
Very
music.
true, very true, actually. I'm gonna put it, especially for its message, I think that's also an important value.
Yes, very hopeful message.
I'm gonna put it A. Last one.
Last movie, Zootopia.
Yeah. This is probably the one that's gonna give me the most scandal, but I have not seen it.
Again,
I've
Neil,
seen.
Jesus.
To be fair, I've seen.
Oh my
okay,
God.
you know what? I've seen half of
I'm
it.
mad at
I've
you.
seen half of it.
I think there was a bit of waste in terms of they opened this world about this awesome city with all these, like, there's a whole district for small animals, there's a whole district for desert animals, but they never explore it. You kind of just stuck in the middle the whole time. And then there's a few things I think could have been done better, but it was still like a solid story. I was fully invested. I really want to know what happened. And Judy and the fox, just such a cool pair. It was so cool following them around with this, and like this detective story. What's gonna happen? Who murdered? Who's the bad guy? Figuring it out. I thought it was unpredictable. I didn't predict the bad guy and how it was gonna end. Overall, just super fun. I don't know if I'd watch it again with you, because I think you'd enjoy it. Myself, I don't know if it's so much a feel good that I'd watch it again. I might watch it again, but really, it was fun. It was really fun. This would be an A tier for me. And
Sweet.
there we have it!
Oh, okay, so we've come to the end. That is, wow, that is a lot of movies.
Thank you for those people who stuck all the way to the end and are angrily typing. All three of our fans angrily typing. How dare you not like The Lion King S tier and Princess Mononoke? But whatever, it's our opinion. Go to Nero's. His videos are better edited and he's a lot funnier. He does all the old school Harry Potters. It's a good time. You should check him out. Link in the description below.
See you guys in the next video. So, cheers for now.
Bye-bye!